check, test, check. Hello, 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 check. Hello, 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 check, check, test. Hello, 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 check, test. Hello, hello, check, test. Hello, 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 check, test. Hello, check, test, check, test, check. Hello, check, test, check. Hello, hello, check, test, check, test, check, test, check. Hello, 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 check, test, check, test. Hello, check, test, check, check, test, check, check, test. Hello, check, check, test.
Check, check, hello.
check, check, test, hello, hello, check, test, hello, hello, check, test, hello, check, test, check, test, check, test, hello, hello, check, test, hello, 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 check, hello, 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 check, test, hello, check, check, test, hello, check, 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 test, check, test, check, test, hello, 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 check, test, hello, check, test,
அனைவரையும் இருக்கையில் அமர கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம். அனைவரையும் இருக்கையில் அமர கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம். அனைவருக்கும் இனிய மாலை வணக்கம். 2 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு பிறகு ஒரு அதி உன்னதமான நாளில் மருத்துவர் ஜி வெங்கடசாமி நினைவு சொற்பொழிவு மற்றும் விருது வழங்கும் நிகழ்விற்காக இன்று நாம் அனைவரும் இங்கு குழுமியிருக்கிறோம். இன்றைய நிகழ்வின் நாயகர் மரியாதைக்குரிய துரைசாமி நாகராஜன் அவர்களையும், உயர்திரு மருத்துவர் பி நம்பெருமாள் சாமி அவர்களையும், உயர்திரு மருத்துவர் ஆர்.டி. ரவீந்திரன் அவர்களையும், உயர்திரு துளசிராஜ் ரவில்லா அவர்களையும் மேடைக்கு அன்போடு அழைக்கிறோம்.
Let's start today's program with an invocation to the Almighty. I invite Sister Simya and Sister Jagdishwari for the prayer song.
ஆதிபகவன் முதற்றே அனைத்தும் இன்றைய மாலை நிகழ்வினை இனிதே தொடங்க செவிலியர்கள் சிம்யா மற்றும் ஜெகதீஸ்வரி இருவரையும் இறைத்துதி பாட அழைக்கிறோம்.
மன்னாதி பூதமுடு விண்ணாதி அண்டம் நீ மறைநான்கினடி முடியும் நீ மதியும் நிரவியும் நீ புனலும் நீ அனலும் நீ மண்டலமிரண்டிலும் நீ பெண்ணும் நீ ஆணும் நீ பல்லுயிர்க்குயிரும் நீ பிறவும் நீ உருவமும் நீயே பேதாதி பேதம் நீ பாதாதி கேசம் நீ பெற்ற தாய் தந்தையும் நீயே பிரம்மானி விஷ்ணு நீ கைலாசநாதன் நீ அல்லாவுமேசுவும் நீ எல்லாமும் ஒன்றான இறைவாணி என்னாலும் எல்லோர்க்கும் அருள்வாய நலம் யாவும் எல்லாமும் ஒன்றான இறைவாணி என்னாலும் எல்லோர்க்கும் அருள்வாய நலம் யாவும்.
Thank you, sisters. I invite Dr. R.D. Ravindran, Chairman, Arvind Eye Care System, to welcome the gathering and brief us on the Dr. G. Venkataswamy Memorial Award.
அழகாய் பாடிய சகோதரிகளுக்கு நன்றி. மருத்துவர் ஜி வெங்கடசாமி நினைவு விருது குறித்து எடுத்துரைத்து வரவேற்புரை நல்க நமது அரவிந்த் கண் மருத்துவ குழுமத்தின் தலைவர் உயர் திரு மருத்துவர் ஆர்.டி. ரவீந்திரன் அவர்களை அன்போடு அழைக்கிறோம்.
Thank you. Good evening to one and all who are present here physically and all of those who have connected virtually for this meeting. Respected Mr. Nagarajan, respected Dr. P. Nambarumal Swamy, Madam Dr. G. Nachiyar, Mr. Tulsi Raj, other senior founding members of Aravind Eye Hospital, the chief medical officers and the senior medical officers who have come from the various Aravind Eye hospitals, the mid-level ophthalmic personnel, nurses, supporting staff. I have great pleasure in welcoming you all for the 104th birth anniversary of Dr. G. Venkataswamy and the Memorial Award and the oration which we will have on this day in memory of Dr. G. Venkataswamy. On this occasion, it is my pleasure to specially welcome Mr. Nagarajan and his wife, Mrs. Sundari, for gracing this occasion. And I also would like to welcome the family and friends of Mr. Nagarajan who are connected virtually. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we had a very grand function celebrating our hospital day. And on that occasion, we also celebrated the 75th Independence Day of our country. On the occasion, one of our founding member, Mr. Dr. M. Srinivasan, spoke about how Dr. G. Venkataswamy groomed him over a period of time. So Dr. Venkataswamy actually, spoke to him regarding the importance of doing the clinical research along with the regular clinical work we do. And that's the way Dr. Venkataswamy molded Dr. M. Srinivasan in an informal way, has made Dr. M. Srinivasan to really excel both academically and also as a clinician. And today he is rated as one of the top 2 scientists in the world in terms of research. And in the same way, Dr. Venkataswamy has molded many people, groomed many people within Aravind and also outside Aravind. Not only he never restricted developing people within the Aravind organization, but he was equally generous in developing people outside the organization. That had been the real strength of Dr. Venkataswamy. And Mr. Nagarajan, who is the recipient of today's award, is also one such person who had been mentored, groomed by Dr. Venkataswamy since Mr. Nagarajan came into the field of eye care in the year 1991. So we are all, we know him since for the last 30 years, and we are really happy that, you are being given this award today in memory of Dr. V and also giving this oration. So we all know that, Dr. G. Venkataswamy, fondly called by us as chief and many people outside of this organization as Dr. V, is a very compassionate person. His compassion for the people and his real care for the people who are blind made him conduct these eye camps when he was in the government hospital. I mean, he is the one who laid the foundation for community eye care in Tamil Nadu, and also you can say on a larger level at the national level. And when he retired, he also wanted to provide affordable care. Because he's out of the government service, he wanted to provide affordable care, and that's why he started Arvindaya Hospital to make the care really affordable. And what he started as a small clinic today has grown into a network of about 14 eye hospitals, 6 eye clinics, and also about 105 vision centers. We are also in the process of expanding the physical facilities in Tirunelveli and Coimbatore, and also building a new hospital in Tanjavur. The same way, the compassion he had for the people who are blind also made Dr. Venkataswamy to start this initiative called Lions Aravind Institute of Community Ophthalmology. That really looks beyond Aravind and looks the problem globally, wherein it engages nearly today about 360 eye hospitals. And that's what made Dr. Venkataswamy to start RO Lab to provide affordable eye care products. And again, that's the passion which we had for eliminating needless blindness is what led to the development of Dr. G. Venkataswamy Eye Research Institute, which has significantly contributed to the understanding of the eye diseases and the treatment, which is really affordable, and we are able to treat the patients in a very meaningful way. And during this ongoing pandemic, we were able to really take care of the patient because of the values Dr. V brought in, and also the guiding principles the founders were able to show. We were able to really care for the patients. If you look at last year's statistics, it is as good as what we did during the pre-COVID period. We not only took care of the patients during this period, but we also took care of the welfare of the staff equally during that point of time. And it is really very happy occasion to celebrate the birthday of such a person who had really guided us, molded us, mentored us, and also gave a lot to the people who had visual impairment, not only in Madurai, but across the world. So in memory of Dr. V, which we celebrate on the 1st, we have organized what is called as an October Summit. We start with this oration, which we give Dr. G. Venkataswamy Memorial Oration. We start with this on the first day, on his birthday, and followed by several other workshops. During this oration, the award is given to people who have really contributed to ophthalmology and eye care, and several important people who have done work at the global level have been recognized in the last 11, 12 years since 2009. Mr. Nagarajan is one such individual who has done a lot for the field of community eye care, and we are really proud that we are able to honor him, and we are honor him with this award, and really thank you for accepting this award, sir. So in this year, in addition to this oration, we also have several meetings, at least 6 other meetings, especially focused on eliminating needless blindness and capacity building of people, both for internal participants and for people from other eye hospitals. So with this, once again, I welcome all of you who are present here physically and those who have connected with us virtually. I also take this opportunity to thank the friends of Aravind, the sponsors, the supporters, and the various NGOs within the country and outside the country for supporting us to realize the dream of Dr. Venkataswamy in eliminating needless blindness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let me now welcome Mr. Tulsi Raj Ravela, Director Operations, Arvind Eye Care System, to introduce this year's awardee, Mr. Duraiswamy Nagarajan.
பரிசுக்கு உரியவரையும் பங்கேற்பாளர்களையும் பாங்குற வரவேற்று அமர்ந்திருக்கும் மருத்துவர் ஆர்.டி. ரவீந்திரன் அவர்களுக்கு நன்றி. இன்றைய விழாநாயகர் மரியாதைக்குரிய துரைசாமி நாகராஜன் அவர்களை நமது அரவிந்த் கண் மருத்துவ குழுமத்தின் செயல் இயக்குனரும் அரிமா அரவிந்த் கண்ணியல் பயிற்சி நிறுவனத்தின் நிர்வாக இயக்குனருமான உயர் திரு துளசிராஜ் ரவில்லா அவர்கள் அறிமுகம் செய்து வைப்பார்கள்.
Yeah, warm good evening to everyone here in person and to those watching us virtually from across the globe. It is my great honor to introduce a good friend, mentor, guide, and a staunch well-wisher of Aravind, Sri Dureswamy Nagarajan. The fact that Dureswamy, his father's name, is the same as that of my father, and that we are both referred to as Raju by those close to us, is where the similarity ends. He stands taller than many of us. His career started soon after he graduated from St. Joseph's College in Trichy. In 1957, he joined the Indian Railways, trained as a mechanical engineer at Jamalpur, Bihar in India, and later trained in diesel locomotive at the town called as Rugby in UK. Over the 25 years that he was with the railways, he rose rapidly in ranks to become the chief motive power engineer in spite of the unfortunate accident during work that failed miserably to disable him or his spirit. After his voluntary retirement from the railways in 1982, he worked in leadership roles in a number of companies. Bharatiya Electric Steel Company, Indian Oxygen, Usha Telehoist, and Shalimar Paints. It's a good thing that I left British Paints in 1981 and joined Aravind. No, otherwise, it would have been very difficult and tough to compete with Mr. Nagarajan at the helm of Shalimar Paints. I've known Mr. Nagarajan since the time he joined Sightsavers in 1988, and Aravind was one of the early places that he visited. The process of joining Sightsavers in many ways defines the person he is. His motivation to join Sightsavers was driven by his desire to give back to the society. Amongst the criteria stated by Sightsavers for the regional director's position were that the applicant must be an MBA, must be under the age of 45, and must have some familiarity in the field. Mr. Nagarajan, in his application, clearly stated that he is not an MBA, he is not below 45, and he's got no exposure to eye care or health care or developmental work. But then he made a case as to how he may be able to contribute to the cause. And that probably intrigued those people in charge of selection, and he was invited for the interview. And as the saying goes, the rest is history. In this picture, he is accompanying Princess Alexandra, the patron of Sightsavers, during her visit to Aravind. While at Sightsavers, he defined his primary purpose as enhancing eye care. Towards that, he was active in an informal yet effective network of all international agencies working on eye care in India. There were frequent meetings of this network, and together were able to influence government policies. I had the privilege of being part of this network and interacting with Ms. Nagarajan. I distinctly recall working with him in a hotel room in Shimla, designing the government scheme to fund free cataract surgeries. This went on to be implemented across the country through DBCS, significantly enhancing the number of cataract surgeries in India. He's an active member of the board of Seva Foundation. He's with two of the founding members. He was always championing and being the voice of those in need of eye care and working with big names like Mohammed Yunus. Over the decade as its regional director, he changed the course of Sightsavers from being an agency that reimbursed cost and thus creating dependency in its partner hospitals to an agency that builds capacity and self-reliance. He in fact eventually stopped the funding to Aravind for free surgeries. He recognized Arvind's potential and supported us to work with Sight Savers partner hospitals to enhance their performance. He retired from Sight Savers at the age of 60 and became even busier than ever, splitting his time volunteering between Aravind and LV Prasad Eye Institute. During the last 2 decades, there has seldom been a LICO activity or an Aravind activity without Mr. Nagarajan's involvement and presence, and for that we are truly indebted. Anyone knowing Mr. Nagarajan would equally know his wife, Mrs. Sundari, who is always beside his side, a great source of strength and support. Together, they will soon be celebrating the Diamond Jubilee, that is their 60th wedding anniversary. They are blessed with 3 exceptional children and 6 grandchildren who are already making an impression like the grandfather in academics and at work. In closing, I want to thank Mr. Nagarajan for honoring us by accepting to deliver the Dr. G. Venkataswamy Memorial Oration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. R. Krishnadas, Director, Human Resources, Arvind Eye Care System, to read the citation.
அழகானதும் அளவானதுமான அறிமுகம் வழங்கிய உயர்திரு துளசிராஜ் ரவில்லா அவர்களுக்கு நன்றி. பரிசுச் சான்றிதழை வாசிக்க அரவிந்த் கண் மருத்துவ குழுமத்தின் மனிதவள இயக்குனர் மருத்துவர் ஆர் கிருஷ்ணதாஸ் அவர்களை அன்போடு அழைக்கிறோம்.
வணக்கம். ஸ்ரீ துரைசாமி நாகராஜன் for over 3 decades has been a valued mentor to several eye care institutions. Trained as an engineer, Nagarajan started his professional career with the Indian Railways. An intense urge to pay back to society brought him to the world of eye care delivery through leadership opportunity at Sight Savers. He was the regional director in India for the international charity, Sight Savers International, for more than a decade. He had no prior exposure to eye care, yet made a mark that few can match. Sri Nagarajan was a staunch advocate of building sustainable eye care programs, and towards this, he realized that building capabilities of eye care professionals and capacity of eye care organizations are of extreme importance. He thus championed the development of the extracapsular cataract surgery, intraocular lens microsurgery training at Aravind Eye Hospital, Madurai, the first of its kind in the country, in 1993 with support from Sight Savers. Subsequently, with Sight Savers assistance, Aravind helped establish similar training programs in Bangladesh and Nigeria, which contributed to the skill development of a large number of ophthalmologists. Sri Nagarajan played a seminal role in shaping and refining Arvind's consultancy and capacity building programs as an advisor to Lions Arvind Institute of Community Ophthalmology, LICO. During his years at Sight Savers, he encouraged several eye hospitals to visit Aravind and implement its operational model so as to improve their performance. These visits helped Aravind to develop and refine its own capacity building process and make it a structured program of LICO, which went on to mentor 370 eye hospitals around the world over the years. Sri Nagarajan has been serving on the board of directors of Seva Foundation, the United States, for more than 2 decades. His contributions to Global Sight Initiative, a collective effort by Seva Foundation to scale up sustainable eye care services worldwide, are highly commendable. He visited eye hospitals across the world and identified mentors and mentees for this initiative. With his sharp acumen and analytical skills, he persuaded the hospital leaders to think differently and motivated them towards a mindset that enabled these hospitals to improve their performance significantly while ensuring quality and sustainability. Sri Nagarajan is an honorary advisor to many eye care organizations, and his prudence and wisdom have guided thousands of eye care professionals in their fight against blindness. Through his unique style, He encourages them to go the extra mile and accomplish things far greater than what they have imagined. His strength lies in his capacity to motivate and inspire people. As a person, he is spiritually evolved, and this is an apparent in every interaction with him. Yet, he is down to earth and very forthright with his views, always choosing to make a difference over making a good impression. A multifaceted personality, Sri Nagarajan is also a sports enthusiast and was a winner of tennis and billiards championship when he was associated with the Southeastern Railway. Arvind Eye Care System is proud and privileged to confer the Dr. G. Venkataswamy Memorial Award for the year 2022 on Doraiswamy Nagarajan in appreciation of his enduring contributions to eye care and in particular towards Arvind Eye Care System's work in capacity building of eye hospitals involved in eliminating blindness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will now move on to the award presentation ceremony.
எளிய மொழியில் அழகு நடையில் சான்றிதழை வாசித்த மருத்துவர் கிருஷ்ணதாஸ் அவர்களுக்கு நன்றி. அனைவரும் ஆவலுடன் எதிர்பார்த்திருக்கும் நிகழ்வின் முக்கிய தருணமான விருது வழங்கும் நேரம் இது.
May I invite Dr. G. Nachyar, Director Emeritus, Arvind Eye Care System, Dr. R. Kim, Chief Medical Officer, Arvind Eye Hospital, Madurai, and Mrs. Sundari Nagarajan to join the dignitaries on the stage.
விருது வழங்கும் தருணத்தில் சிறப்பு விருந்தினர்களோடு உடனிருக்க அரவிந்த் கண் மருத்துவ குழுமத்தின் கௌரவ இயக்குனர் மருத்துவர் ஜி நாச்சியார் அவர்களையும் தலைமை மருத்துவர் ஆர் கிம் அவர்களையும் மரியாதைக்குரிய துரைசாமி நாகராஜன் அவர்களின் உற்ற துணைவியார் திருமதி சுந்தரி நாகராஜன் அவர்களையும் மேடைக்கு அன்போடு அழைக்கிறோம்.
I invite Dr. G. Nachyar to present the citation to Mr. Doraiswamy Nagarajan.
மருத்துவர் ஜி நாச்சியார் அவர்கள் மரியாதைக்குரிய துரைசாமி நாகராஜன் அவர்களுக்கு பரிசு சான்றிதழை வழங்கி கௌரவிப்பார்கள். அனைவரும் கரவொலி எழுப்பி நமது அன்பினை வெளிப்படுத்துவோம்.
Dr. P. Nampenimal Sami, President, Govel Trust, will now present the prestigious Dr. G. Venkataswamy Memorial Award 2022 to Mr. Doraiswamy Nagarajan.
மரியாதைக்குரிய துரைசாமி நாகராஜன் அவர்களுக்கு 2022ஆம் ஆண்டிற்கான மதிப்பு மிகுந்த மருத்துவர் ஜி வெங்கடசாமி நினைவு விருதினை கோவல் அறக்கட்டளையின் தலைவர் மருத்துவர் பி நம்பெருமாள் சாமி அவர்கள் வழங்கி கௌரவிக்கிறார்கள்.
Thank you, sir and madam. I request all the dignitaries on the stage to step down and occupy the seats in the front row.
இந்த சிறப்பான நிகழ்வினை மேலும் சிறப்பாக்கிய மருத்துவர் பி நம்பெருமாள் சாமி அவர்களுக்கும் மருத்துவர் ஜி நாச்சியார் அவர்களுக்கும் மனமார்ந்த நன்றி. மேடையில் இருக்கும் சான்றோர்கள் அனைவரையும் பார்வையாளர்களுடன் முன்வரிசையில் அமர அழைக்கிறோம்.
A long-time friend and a mentor to many of us, Mr. Nagarajan has a rich repository of anecdotes that reveal how Arvind evolved as a purpose-driven institution. An excellent storyteller, his oration is sure to leave a lasting impression on all of us. May I invite Mr. Doraiswamy Nagarajan to deliver the Dr. G. Venkataswamy Memorial Oration 2022.
அரவிந்தின் நீண்டகால நண்பர், நம்மில் அநேகருக்கு வழிகாட்டி, அரவிந்த் மற்றும் மருத்துவர் வி குறித்து அவர் அறிந்த கதைகளும் செய்திகளும் ஏராளம். இன்றைய நாளின் ஒளிபொருந்திய இந்த மாலையில் நாம் அவருக்கு அரவிந்தின் மதிப்பு மிகுந்த புகழ் மாலையை சூட்டினோம். அவரோ அவரது நினைவுகளின் பூக்கூடையிலிருந்து தேர்ந்தெடுத்த மலர்களால் அரவிந்த் எவ்வாறு ஒரு நோக்கத்தினை முதன்மையாக கொண்ட நிறுவனமாக எழும்பியிருக்கிறது என்கிற அழகிய மாலையை தொடுத்து நமக்கு மீண்டும் சூட்டவிருக்கிறார். மருத்துவர் ஜி வெங்கடசாமி நினைவு சொற்பொழிவினை வழங்க இன்றைய விழாநாயகர் அரவிந்தின் துரோணாச்சாரியார் திருமிகு துரைசாமி நாகராஜன் அவர்களை பேரன்புடனும் பேருவகையுடனும் அழைக்கிறோம்.
you hear me? Okay, fine. At the outset, I wanted to thank the Aravind board for having selected me for granting an award in the name of my mentor, master, guide, guru, Dr. Venkataswamy. We are very obliged for it. Secondly, in April, my wife and I will celebrate 60 years of togetherness, our diamond jubilee. But today, from the evening, we are feeling as if today is our diamond jubilee. The way, oh. Can you hear me? Hello? Like that? I'll repeat myself. In the month of April, மைக்குனாலியா நான் ஸ்டேஜுக்கு போய் நிற்கட்டுமா? ஓகே. In the month of April, my wife and I will celebrate our diamond jubilee, April 2023. Sorry. In the month of April, me and my wife will celebrate our diamond jubilee, hopefully. But the treatment which has been given by Aravind and in general and LICO in particular made us feel that today is our diamond jubilee, including the garlanding. We are very grateful for that. And I thank Tulsi for having introduced me. Not only is our father's name is same, our granddaughter's name also is the same. We have Janvi as granddaughter, both of us. I have been asked to speak about Dr. Venkataswamy in the context that Dr. Venkataswamy passed away 16 years back in 2006. Some of you would have seen him, some of you would have worked with him, some of you would have known him, but a number of you who are here and who are hearing me from elsewhere virtually may not have seen him, may not have known him. So I will try and introduce Dr. Venkataswamy through my eyes when I contacted him and what all he did in making me what I am today. When I met him in 1988, I was like the photograph at the other end. You can see me now. But what you can see is only the physical change. What you cannot see is the transformation which happened inside me. Therefore, I am going to try and take you through a path of my own experiences, anecdotal, direct experiences, and what happened, milestones in Aravind, in a small journey for a short while. The reason I am doing it is because the picture which is behind me, where Dr. V is in front of Gandhiji. When Gandhiji passed away, someone commented, 100 years from now, people will find it hard to believe that such a person really walked the earth. I think the same would be true for Dr. Venkataswamy when a few years from now. Unless we keep his memory alive by sharing the life, sharing the anecdotes, sharing what sort of a person he was. So that's what I'll attempt. And I am, of course, grateful to Uday Kumar for this slide and the slides I will be showing you, Uday Kumar of LICO and the Aravind Communication. There is a technique used, methodology used in Vedanta. It's called Chandra Shaka Nyaya. I will tell you what it is. It is from what is known or what is perceived, you take or taken to what is not known or what is not perceived. It's called Chandra Shaka Nyaya because today is the 6th day of the waxing moon. On the 2nd day waxing moon is considered to be auspicious. People would like to see it. But it will be there in the sky only for a short while, soon after sunset, and it will go away. And it's very thin streak of light of a crescent of the moon. So it's very difficult to see. People will line up to see that, and one person might see it. Then he say, I have seen it. Then the others will look up to him. Then he will tell them, okay, I'll show you. But you can't see it in the sky. So he'll say, can you see the tree? Then can you see that branch? Can you see the tip of the branch? Just go northeast 1 foot and the crescent moon is there. There is no connection between the tree and the moon, but it becomes a means of knowing the moon. The same way, when I take you through a few of the instances, anecdotes, and milestones, I hope you will be able to perceive Dr. Venkataswamy, the unknown. Let me go through my presentation now. This is what Aravind is, as you all know, all of you who are here know, and it's in their book, annual report, booklets, and all that, so it will be there. Aravind, we also know that there are 5 wings of services which Aravind provides. We know that a day in Aravind is very busy with so many patients, 16,000 patients are examined every day, 1,700, 2,000 surgeries are performed, etc., etc. Yes. We know that because of all this, there has been a lot of recognition to Aravind, and I was surprised to see there's not enough space in LICO and Aravind Hospital. Even in the library, they opened up a shelf for putting the awards. We all know also it started in 1976 very humbly in a small 11-bedded hospital by 7 people whom Dr. V persuaded to join him to go on the journey. Next. So we know that Aravind Eye Care System was founded by Dr. V. This much is well known. Now I will try to show you what I am trying to share with you. This is the idea of Uday Kumar, is depicted by a lamp. All our sense organs have, according to our scriptures, an Adhisthana Devata, an deity, presiding deity of the organ. And the presiding deity for the eyes is Agni, the light, in the light form. So Dr. V provided sight to many people, so the light symbolizes. Also the light symbolizes that Dr. V ignited the light, spiritual light, in most of the people who came in touch with him, worked closely with him, and were able to perceive and share from him whatever he has gained spiritually. My topic is going to be society from Dr. V's view. Society, from our view, is people do social service. That means the society, they do something. People do charitable service. And people do, nowadays the buzzword is corporate social responsibility. A certain percentage of the profit is plowed back into the society. That is the way society is looked at normally, as a beneficiary. But in case of Dr. V, he looked at society as the benefactor. He thought that he and Aravind were the beneficiaries. So he used to tell me that my workforce come from the society, the support for doing whatever activity in the community or elsewhere is coming from the society and community. The patients are coming from the society. So where is it that I can claim anything? I am only responding to society based on the empowering they have done to me. So his sense towards society was not of a benefactor towards beneficiaries, but of a beneficiary, and therefore he was very grateful to the society in all this thing. He used to treat society with respect, reverence, and that automatically resulted in humility in him when he was facing the society. The next aspect of his this thing is service. He did not opt to be an ophthalmologist. He wanted to be something else, but ophthalmology was the something which he came into him. And while he was doing ophthalmology as best as he can, he could only serve for about 22 years in the government. The government had a limit to the age up to which you can work. They didn't know that he had 30 years of more life to give service. So they just terminated him or retired. He retired at the age of 58. Then he founded Aravind so that he would continue his service. And continue his service as a payback to the society. 30 years he has delivered post-retirement up to the age of his 88. We will see when we go through. While he did society and service, which is visible, which is perceivable, everybody can see what he has contributed. Physically it is available, the data is available, people know who all are doing, people talk about what he has done. There is something which is unperceivable in it that would be, again, unseen in this slide, is spirituality. He did everything with a spirituality bias. He didn't do anything with an ownership bias or a doership bias. So I will try to take you again further towards his life. While you will see society and service, try and see the spirituality under him. When I joined Sightsavers, I made a couple of visits. At that time, I used to stay in Pandian because I was the regional director of Sightsavers. I knew nothing about eye care, I knew nothing about hospitals, I knew nothing about NGOs for that matter. In fact, I got a notice from the FCRA commissioner that you are giving money to people who are not without FCRA. I didn't know that. So on the third or fourth visit, I asked Dr. V, how is it that you are able to think differently and also establish such hospital? So he said, come with me. At that time, of course, in 1988, there was only the main hospital, first portion, the rear portion wasn't there, and the free hospital. In this road, between Dr. V's house and from inspiration to all these buildings, including the PG hostel, was not there. They were all managed within half the main hospital building. So in the base, he took me to the basement where the library was there. Now the library is above us where we are sitting. And he showed me these photographs. If you want to see these photographs, if you walk one floor up, you will find it at the entrance of this library also. Then he told me about the persons in the photograph as they are my mentors. The first one was Frederick Kugelberg. It was the largest photo. It still is the largest photo above. He says that he was a Swedish ophthalmologist. He came by a steamboat all the way from Sweden to Chennai. And then he moved from Chennai to Tirupattur, which is about 40 kilometers from here also on the way to Pudukottai, and he set up an eye clinic there. And he recruited local youth and trained them in various aspects of eye care. In those days, it used to be refraction, looking at the foreign bodies inside or this thing, etc. But he trained them. Also, he realized that in case he goes back, he should not go away. So he trained two ophthalmologists, one Dr. M.S. Gurupada. I am telling all that what Dr. V told me. Dr. M.S. Gurupadaswamy and Dr. Joseph Jnanadikam. M.S. Gurupadaswamy, somehow or other, went into politics. He became health minister also. But Joseph Jnanadikam set up an eye hospital in Trichy. It's known as Joseph Eye Hospital. It's a very popular one and a very huge hospital those days. And so he said, a person of Sweden has come to treat the blind in our country. Should we not take a responsibility for the problem ourselves in this country? That is the first one. Then he showed me the second picture, Dr. Mehere. He said, Dr. M.P. Mehere, Mahesh Prasad Mehere, he was the founder and director of Sitapur Eye Hospital. And Sitapur Eye Hospital was a chain of hospitals. He said, in his lifetime, he had been able to establish 32 hospitals in eastern UP, in each district one hospital, with the support of community and run by the community. He used to form a district eye relief society, having certain civil officials and medical people engaged in it, and set up the hospital in the same pattern to deliver service. 32 hospitals a person has been able to do in a lifetime. He recommended that I should go and see Sitapur Hospital to see how eye care is to be delivered. And he told me, Sitapur Eye Hospital is the inspiration on which I started Aravind Eye Hospital, and I am moving Aravind Eye Hospital. So next. I went to Sitapur Eye Hospital, saw Dr. Mehere had passed away sometime in 74 or 75, so I couldn't meet him. But I could see the systems he had left behind. Lot of things which were very good. Sitapur had the third photocoagulator which was made in the world, serial number 3. Photocoagulator is the treatment for retina, I think, in those days, before laser came in. The first lift in a hospital has been installed in Sitapur. It was a phenomenal thing I saw. But I also saw that they did a lot of their work in outreach in suboptimal facilities, so that the patients were operated under suboptimal conditions. They were kept in ward in suboptimal conditions. To me, though I didn't know anything about medicine, to me it didn't appear right. But apparently it was okay there because Sitapur's camps were very popular. So I rang him up. I asked him, why is it happening? He said, you come, I'll tell you. So I came to Aravind, and then I talked to him that I got inspired by Sitapur partly, but I didn't get what I can do to contribute. So what is it I can do? Then he used to have a lot of publications, diaries, books and all that on his table, in his drawers and behind in his bookshelf. He walked to the bookshelf and picked up a book, Fulfillment Through Leprosy, written by Professor Jagadishan. He said, read this book. So I asked him that fulfillment through leprosy sounds strange title, because leprosy is a disease which reduces the body components, the fingers, leg, ear, nose, mouth, they all get disfigured. How can he attain fulfillment through leprosy? Leprosy can only, he said, you read the book, you will know. So I read the book. In those days, I'm talking about days where there was no internet, there was no mobile, there was nothing. So if you wanted to know anything, you read a book. So I read the book. And Professor Jagadishan was an English professor in Annamalai University. And it's Chidambaram. He contracted leprosy somehow, and the leprosy became visible. So he was to leave his job because he can't work in a college as a professor with leprosy. So he left his job. Socially, he was ostracized. Family members did not want him to stay with them. He went through all the problems a leper will face. But then he was an educated person. He found out there is a multi-drug therapy, MDT used to call. And if you go through that therapy, the leprosy can be arrested and even cured. He went through that therapy, got himself cured. After getting himself cured, he didn't go back to the teaching profession or becoming a professor. He said, I have suffered and I have come out of it. In those days, in the Chidambaram, Vilupuram, Vellore area, the prevalence of leprosy used to be over 20%. That means 1 in 5 persons had contracted leprosy of various forms, mild, serious, etc., etc. He said, I will work for eradication of leprosy in my area. So he took that as a thing. So he said, I'll set up a Kushta Nivarana Nilayam, leprosy eradication center. But he needed money for setting it up. His head of the department was Right Honorable Srinivasa Sastri, who was a very close colleague of Mahatma Gandhi. So he took him to Mahatma Gandhi, he narrated his history, and he said, I'm going to do. And Kasturba Gandhi had died just some few years back, and they had a trust in the name of Kasturba Gandhi Memorial Trust, and there were funds. So Mahatma Gandhi gave him the first check to start the Kasturibai Kushtavan. This is all that what I read. And he set it up. He had went through a lot of difficulty because it's very difficult to get people to come and work with lepers. Even clinical people used to be not very comfortable working with lepers, so he had to persuade and build a team of caregivers. And the lepers themselves wouldn't abide by the treatment procedure because the multiple drug therapy was a very long-drawn treatment procedure. He went through all that in a period of about 20 years or so. He was able to bring down the prevalence of leprosy from over 20 to less than 2% in that area. It's called Magamantangal. And Dr. V was a personal friend and well-wisher of the thing. In fact, the book Dr. V gave me was an autographed book of Professor Jagadish given to Dr. V. But I couldn't locate that book, so we got the book given to Dr. M.S. Srinivasan, and that's what we have shown you here. And the relationship was such that Aravind used to conduct eye camps and surgical camps in their facility for lepers. This is one of the camps like that. You can see a leper in this thing. So going through that, I could get the message which Dr. V was saying to me, that life should have a purpose, and a purpose which is much beyond yourself. Its purpose must be much larger and even daunting, as in the case of Dr. Jagdishan. And you must have a passion. You must have a passion that I'll pursue my purpose and make it happen. You must have perseverance, because there will be many obstacles in doing it. The more difficult the purpose, the larger will the and patience. Getting result cannot be overnight. You have to be. All that I could learn by reading it, and Dr. V guiding me, without telling these things, that these are the important points. And nothing to do with eye care, nothing to do with eyes. It's all about a person developing, getting through a problem, finding a purpose, developing a passion and following his passion. over this time, I became reasonably close to Dr. V, and every time I come, you have seen one of the pictures when I'm sitting across the table and taking notes, etc. So I used to spend reasonable time with him whenever I come, do my work and also spend. And then over and above that, he will come either to have breakfast or dinner. In those days, we used to stay in the old guest house, as to call. The 11-bedded eye hospital was turned into a guest house, so I stayed there. 1990, there was the Third General Assembly of International Agency of Prevention of Blindness, IAPB, in Nairobi. So I had gone from Sightsavers, from Aravind, Dr. V had come. From Seva Foundation, Susan Gilbert and David Green, they came. And we used to be together. I didn't know anybody there. Alan Foster was there. Of course, John Wilson was there. All people who are big in eye care were there. I knew only people who are Sightsavers and Aravind and a few others. One evening, we went out for dinner. Tulsi was there. One evening, we went out for dinner to an Indian restaurant. While we were having dinner, Dr. V said, after dinner, can you guys come to my room? So we said, okay. When Dr. V says that his request is like a command to us, we went to his room. And the room was a single-bedded room. There was one bed, one chair. Because we were very Spartan, the frugal bit was there. And Dr. V sat in the chair. Susan sat on the cot, cross-legged. And Tulsi, David Green and myself sat on the carpet. And we looked at Dr. V, what is it, why he has called us? So Dr. V said, I am feeling very anguished. I am feeling very guilty. We couldn't understand, right? He says, I am giving IOL to people who can pay for it and giving intracapsular extraction and plus-10 glasses for those who cannot pay for it. But when I started Aravind, I will give the same care to everybody irrespective of their ability to pay. But I am making a distinction. So I am feeling guilty. So we didn't know what to say. Then he himself said, I am not able to do it because IOL cost $150 to $200 or 2,500, 3,000, 3,500 rupees. And we can't give it to people who cannot pay because that much money we cannot subsidize. But there is a solution, he said. If you guys can think of making an IOL for less than $10 or $10, 200 rupees, then I will be able to give IOL to everybody. Again, we didn't know what to say because we didn't know what was the technology involved, what is the equipment involved, what are the various other intricacies involved, and then how to make it and market it. We are not an engineering organization. So we said, just kept quiet and came away. But he was so foresighted. He was so dirgadarshi, he was. But 1992, the lens became a reality. The RO lab was formed. We got somebody who could give the equipment. We got some funding. I could persuade Sightsavers. All INGOs are against IOL. All government was against IOL because they said it takes more equipment, it takes more time, it's risky, people need to be trained. All that, how can you do? So we cannot support IOL, we should do this only. But then he went through and then IOL became a reality in 1992. It was just because of his guidance, his perseverance is this thing that it happened. But when IOL started happening, we had a meeting once when I came, Tulsi, myself and Dr. V, that if the initial production was sufficient for Arvind's consumption, but when you start making more to make it a commercial success, then you have to give it to other people. And if it's a $10 IOL, everybody would try to take it and then put it in the eyes of people, but they wouldn't have been properly trained. So he said we should conduct a training program for ophthalmologists to do how to do IOL. So he called Nachiyar madam and asked how long will it take to train people to make IOL. Nachiyar said at least 4 to 6 months, because those guys know only ICCE, they have not seen a microscope, they don't know anything. Then we felt that no ophthalmologist will come for 6 months. Finally, we agreed upon a 2 months training course, and Madam Nachiyar was made the director or in charge for that course. Believe me, and I was able to persuade site savers to give some equipment which is required for the training. And I also got my executive director, Alan Johns, to come and open the Aravind Site Savers microsurgery training course. Alan Johns is in the board along with Tulsi and Nachiyar, and the other side, James Beale is there along with Dr. Venkataswamy and Alan Johns. In 2 months course, we said we'll run that course for 6 months or a year. And Madam Nachiyar designed the curriculum, designed how they will go, and 1 month was, I think, in teaching them how to do ECCE. First forget how they were doing ICCE, then learn how to do ECCE, how to be hygienic, how to be in the theater according to our standards. Then 1 month for IOL, some which were assisted, some which were guided, some which were overseen, some individually. And Dr. Nachiyar was the most productive surgeon at that time for Aravind. So if she had to train these people who are coming from outside, her time will have to be taken off. In addition to being the most effective surgeon, she was also in charge of the MLOPs, recruitment to training, induction, and keeping them, looking after them, everything, the godmother for them, etc. So that was a major responsibility. And she had to teach and train her own fellows and MSc and DO students. In spite of all that, Dr. Ravi said, Aravind may suffer because our time will be taken away, but the country will benefit. Because in his mind, society was not the state, not the region, not Aravind, not the nation, but the globe. Wherever I can contribute, I should contribute. So this clinical training was started. I used to watch Madam Nachiyar do surgery. I used to say that it is like Pandit Ravi Shankar playing the sitar. It was so beautiful. And the Aravind Microsurgery training course, which we thought will run for a year, is continuing to run still, and I am told with a waiting list for people to come in a modified form with various other things, etc. has come. Along with this specialty clinical training, not for Aravind own fellows, but for outsiders, was extended further when Dr. Namperumal Swamy wanted to teach people in diabetic retinopathy in diagnosis and thereafter in treatment, and then glaucoma. So we added various training programs outside of Aravind's own fellows and own candidates. And those people who were trained could be even from, I wouldn't say competitor, but persons who are practicing in the area where Aravind has its hospital. But that didn't deter Dr. Venkataswamy. He said, everyone is going to contribute in it. The market is very large, he used to say. So that was how he looked at society. That was how he looked at what he can contribute. That's how he did service. This is one bit. Next. While we were doing all this, one day Dr. V, in my visit, he called me and Tulsi. He gave us a directory. There used to be a directory made by Voluntary Health Association of India. It used to have a green border cover with a green border and yellow background with black letters or whatever. I don't know where he got it from. And that had a record of all hospitals in the country, not only eye hospitals, how many beds they have, how many doctors, what have been their annual OPD, what has been the surgery, etc. Those statistics were there. He told us just to check how many hospitals are, eye hospitals are doing 10,000 or more surgeries. So it was quite a thick book. So between me and Tulsi we went through and we found we could not find more than the fingers on my hand. You know how many hands I have. So we told Dr. V, he said that look at how many between 5,000 and 10,000. And there were a few numbers. Then he told us, at that time in India, the total number of surgeries which was being performed as per government statistics was 1.4 million. Out of 1.4 million, only 35% was being done in hospitals. 65% was being done in surgical camps outside, and that also seasonally. He said, we are only doing about 40 lakh surgeries now. If we can train, say, 100 hospitals to do 5,000 surgeries or more, we will be able to add 500,000 surgeries nationally. And the reason they are not doing it is not because there are no patients, not because they are not having equipment, not because they are not having doctors, but they are not having a system of demand generation, serving the thing, efficient way of operation, etc., etc. So that was the genesis of a concept of helping hospitals through an institution called Lions Aravind Institute of Community Ophthalmology. For the vision building we started initially, it's become capacity building. LICO itself has a history because Lions started a Sight First program in 1991 or so. In 1993 onward they became active after collecting the money, 2 years for fundraising. And one P.S. Ranganathan in Bangalore was the national director, and Karl Kuffer was the medical advisor who knows Aravind very well at their headquarters. So they invited Aravind, and Tulsiraj went with bring a proposal where Lions can fund their money. So Tulsiraj went with the proposal for LICO. Of course, the building which was built, of course, part of it is only funded by LICO, the rest was funded by Aravind, but it was named as Lions Aravind Institute of Community Ophthalmology. I like the facade very nicely because I used to equate it to the movie I saw when I was in college called Guns of Neveron. It used to have something similar and guns coming out of this thing. And LICO is next door. And I was there in the inaugural, which was on the 15th of February 1996, I think. And that happened to be the birthday of the then Chief Minister, Madam Jayalalitha. So there were a lot of Adirvet and Tapatai and music and all that. And we assumed that that's also a spillover for the inauguration of LICO. So the entire genesis of LICO and moving on came out of a concern of Dr. V that I must help other hospitals to perform efficiently and serve their community. Next. In 1999, Beijing had a General Assembly of IAPB, and Alan Foster, he presented that if the blindness figures over the last 20 years or so, he said, if we not take any action now, it will treble in the next 20 years. So we should take an action to control it and reduce it so that at least after 20 years we will remain at the same level. We made a graph. So a movement called Vision 2020 was launched. In the sense, It was launched figuratively by IAPB, but they said it should be a countrywide program. So India was the first one to set up a Vision 2020 India program, and I had retired by then, or opted to retire then from Sight Savers 1997. And Dr. V and Tulsi gave us space in LICO for setting up an office, gave us support of the legal advisors of Aravind and auditors of Aravind in writing down a clear constitution, helped us in registering it and opening a bank account, all that, etc. For quite some time, the Vision 2020 India office was in LICO, in the second floor, in the last room or something, where Arosh Daksha is there now. And we used to have periodic meetings, and whenever we had a meeting in Madurai, in Aravind, Dr. V will come and attend and give us guidance. This is a photograph of that, where all the INGOs represented, CBM, Sight Savers, Seva, Operation ISET Universal, Orbis, etc. Next. This is possibly the last photograph of Dr. V in 2006. In the month of March or April. I wasn't there. This is in class room 3 of LICO. Dr. V was also one of the founders of Seva Foundation in America, along with Larry Brilliant, Girija Brilliant, Susan Gilbert, Ram Das, and Nicole Grace, and others. And Dr. V was one of the lifetime board members. The other two were Dr. Nicole Grace, who was a doctor in WHO, and who was, Dr. John Wilson used to call her the one-woman dynamo, and she was responsible for eradication of smallpox in Bihar and UP. She was in charge of it. She could get anything done. So she was one of the doers on the honorary lifetime board member. The other was Ram Das, who was Richard Alpert, a Harvard professor, who found spirituality with Nim Karoli, from Nim Karoli Baba, became Ram Das and became a spiritual teacher. His basic teaching is be here now, because most of us are here now, physically. Mentally, we are somewhere else in the space-time continuum. He said that if you can make your mind be here now along with your body, you will have no problem, you can go to it. That's his philosophy, and he kept telling, which is true also. So Dr. V was in between, the doer, Nicole Grace, and a totally spiritual teacher. He was in between, both the doer and the spiritual person in Seva. And Seva had going through a difficult patch at that time in 2006, and it wanted to reinvent itself. So I was also a board member at the time of Seva. We said that we should look for something which is not being done now, because Seva always had been a pathfinding program. Whatever is needed to be done, not being done, Seva will start doing, then others will start doing it. So to find out what is it we should do, we had a Sight and Synergy workshop in March or April 2006 in LICO. I wasn't there, I was in America at that time. I could only connect virtually, and I spoke to Dr. V virtually on this thing at that time. But when he passed away in July, I was still in America, so I couldn't see him off at that time. And based on that Sight and Synergy workshop, about 4 or 5 months later, we had a second workshop in Lumini. That's when the Global Sight Initiative was launched. It was launched under a different name. It was actually Global Sight Initiative only. And the first thing we all did, started by Dr. Pararajashekaran, is to have a portrait of Dr. V and pay our homage to it and bless GSI to serve as it should be served. And we engaged a number of different hospitals in Bangladesh, Nepal, Africa, Cairo, Egypt, etc., this thing, Guatemala, to do that each hospital which is performing well will help 10 other hospitals which are performing suboptimally. That was the capacity building exercise which I done. We called it as a mentor-mentee hospital. They will mentor them, this thing, and Seva provided the funds, etc. Thanks to Dr. V's blessings, it moved so forward that we had a meeting, I think in 2016, when IAPB was held in Hyderabad, a program called SCALE, Strengthening Capacity and Learning to Effectively Design Quality Programs. So that program of SEVA, which is an extension of GSI, SCALE, it finished in 2021 and we are having a meeting possibly next week or so to see what else we should do together. So in all this, Dr. V wasn't there, but Dr. V's guidance and spirit was taken. I have been telling you all along about society and services delivered, a society which is large and services delivered which is with a lot of compassion and gratitude and all that. Where is the spirituality? It still is not visible. I will go to that. Prior to that, I'll tell 2 or 3 snippets from Dr. V's life. Next. Dr. V got his Padma Shri, I think in 1973 or so. And when he got his Padma Shri, which is wearing on his lapel, Madam Indira Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister, invited some Padma Shri awardees for tea in their house. So Dr. V took his brother's wife, G. Srinivasan, Lalita Madam, along with him to see for the tea party. So they went in the photograph. Lalita Madam is on the left of Indira Gandhi, Dr. V is on the right. They went, had tea and all that, and they were coming back from the Prime Minister's house to the ashram where they were staying in Delhi. So Dr. V just asked Lalita Madam. This is what Lalita Madam told me about 6 months back when I met her in Coimbatore. You are wearing a very nice sari. What is it? So Lalita Madam was a little surprised because Dr. V doesn't make such personal remarks. She said it's a pattu sari from Kanjipuram. I selected it so that we are going to the Prime Minister. I must dress accordingly. So I put on the pattu sari. He asked him, do you like it? He said, I like it very much. But Lalita, what sari was Prime Minister wearing? Lalita's back. Because Prime Minister was wearing a cotton khadi sari. And according to Lalita Madam, she stopped wearing pattu sari from that day. It's not that Dr. V was against Buddha or something. He felt that what is adequate, what is simple is what one should go. But he told this very nicely, conveyed it very nicely to Lalita Madam. Next. We all know that Dr. V used to quote McDonald's, that I care like McDonald's. If McDonald's can train people to give across all the system the same quality of snacks and beverages, why can't we do it? But we don't know the Indian equivalents which he has also drawn in for incorporating in the way I care is delivered. Next. Uday? He asked me one day, you know Sri Rangam temple? I said, he knew I was from Trichy. I said, I know, but I live far away from this thing. I go there once in a while. Do you know, in Sri Rangam temple, all festivals are structured and festivals are performed. The structuring is, what will be the alankaram that day? How will the Lord be decorated? What will be the ornaments which will be put on that? What will be the flowers which will be offered? what will be the pasuram, the Ashwar's pasurams which will be recited at that time, and what will be the prasadam which will be offered for that particular function. He said it all structured. I didn't know that. And do you know when they were structured? I said no. He said 1000 years back, Ramanujacharya structured it. He set up for the temple how all the worship should be performed, etc. For 1000 years they are following it. We call it standard operating procedure. Should we not have in our hospitals a similar thing? And he implemented it in Aravind. He said how things should be done. These are the way. There's a set pattern of doing things, of different type of services he did. Next. Then one day he asked me, you come to Madurai, do you go to Meenakshi temple? I said, I do. How is that? I told him about the architecture, this and that. No. There used to be a system in Meenakshi temple that every night before the Lord and the Meenakshi are put to bed in the Padkai array, in the bedroom, the officials of the temple will give the accountal for the day to the Lord and Meenakshi. I think today so many people visited, so many archanas were done, and so many special donations came. The undi collection is so much, our general income is so much, these were the expenditure, these VIPs came, etc. He said, and all this I am telling you is in the days when there was no computer. They were all manual. He says that if a temple can take stock of what happened during the day by evening, should not a hospital do so? We should evolve, make a system by which that day's program, whatever has happened in the hospital, the leadership or the CMOs or somebody should know. So he blended Srirangam and Meenakshi into Aravind by systematizing these things. Now we will move to the unseen, unperceived spirituality thing. We couldn't perceive it, but a person from America perceived the spirituality in him and in Aravind. Jerry Jones is a friend of Aravind, is my friend also. I met Jerry Jones in the old guest house. I call the old guest house the first hospital. He had come, and he had come because he went to Pondicherry, and in Pondicherry they said you must visit Aravind Eye Hospital. He had come with his daughter to see what all is happening in Aravind. I had come for some other work, so Dr. V only introduced me. And Jerry Jones was a real estate developer in America, and a good one at that, and he made millions of dollars. And in his lifetime, he gave away millions of dollars. In his lifetime, he must have given close to $30 million or so. The reason he came to Aravind was he was traveling around India so that he can write a book. The book's name is From Here to Nirvana. It is called the Yoga Journal Guide to Spiritual India. He had listed from the Golden Temple of Amritsar in Punjab, Shivananda Ashram in Himachal, Belur Mutt, Bodh Gaya, from over 80, Satya Sai Baba, Mata Amritanandamayi Ashram. Even I was surprised that I am from a village near Kulitalai. He said in Kulitalai there is a Sachidananda Ashram. And Sachidananda Ashram, the persons that follow the priest or the nuns and all that, they wear Hindu dress, but they are practice Christianity. I didn't know all that, but Jerry Jones knew that, so he was listing all that. And in that book of over 80 spiritual things, one Bishop Poonji, one Imam Ali, Ganesh Puri Ashram, he had covered vastly Gujarat, Rajasthan, whole place. And there is only 1.5 pages of Aravind Eye Hospital. And he himself writes, people may find it strange that I am listing Aravind Eye Hospital in a book on and book spirituality, but that is the place where spirituality is practiced through action, through karma yoga. He has written that. And Jerry Jones founded a trust called Soham Foundation. Soham is Saham, that what you are searching for is me. And he had bequeathed $20 million to it. He passed away, I think, in 2017 or 2018. This is a photograph a few months before he passed away. He developed cancer and he died. While he was giving, right. So I'm one of the board members. He left $20 million with instruction in about 10 years' time. This money should be exhausted and the foundation should be dissolved. That kind of a person. In this photograph, he not only gave, he was a very discerning giver. He was taking a report from me and Heidi of Seva, what the money has done, because he had given $1 million to Seva, what all good has happened, etc. Next. Another person who identified the spirituality of this thing is the Asthana poet, late Mr. Lakshmanan. He actually wrote the poem Nityata when Nityata was inaugurated. So he had written an article in your fortnightly magazine, Tingal Udayam. And that article was reproduced about 2 or 3 months back. And I am giving you a truncated portion of that article where he had quoted Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo on Lord Krishna's work culture, he said all work can be done if it's done according to the dharma and if it's rightly done. Because there is an erroneous notion that Krishna asked Arjuna to fight. That's not true. Krishna asked Arjuna to do his duty. Because it's Arjuna who was one of the person who instigated the war, he and Bhima. Of course, Duryodhana did whatever, etc. He collected everybody. Then he asked Krishna to take the chariot to the center of the armies so that he can see who all have come here to fight with me and be killed. And suddenly he recognized them as his own cousins, his own gurus, his own brothers, his own relatives, and all. He said, I will not fight. So what Krishna said is, you must do your duty, whatever be the circumstances. That again is Karma Yoga. So he goes on to say how Dr. V was a Karma Yogi. Now we must know what a Karma Yogi means. Karma Yogi is the person who works, but as a yogi. But who is a yogi? Krishna himself has given 2 definitions in Gita. Next. One definition is in chapter 2, I think verse 76 or so. Samatvam yoga uchyate. It means you should be equanimous in your work, whatever you do. The equanimity is between siddhya siddhyo samobhutva, whether it gives you positive result or negative result or inadequate result. You should continue to do the work which is right without being perturbed because you are not. Because Dr. V, not that all that he did was successful. He had his own blockades, his own failures, but he was able to retrieve and then he never let it affect him. The next definition in the verse, I think, chapter 280 is Yogaha Karmasu Kaushalam. Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam is translated as dexterity in action is yoga. No, that's not the correct definition, or skill in action. No, because even a pickpocket has skill in action, but it's not yoga. You must, Kaushalam means you must do an action well, but it should also produce good for all concerned. So what is done for, which produces good for all concerned and done well, is Kaushalam. Evidently, Dr. V was a karma yogi by this definition also. Next, one day I asked Dr. V, when you started the 11-bedded hospital after retirement, did you think that Aravind will grow like this? And we will have our lab, we will have this training program, we will have LICO, we will have so many branches and all that. He told me that according to Sri Aurobindo, there is a super higher consciousness which regulates the world. The higher consciousness operates through a super mind. But the higher consciousness, the super mind cannot act by themselves. They need people to act through. So they are looking for people who are raising their consciousness above what the ordinary sensory consciousness with which we are living. And he told me about super mind, which from Sri Aurobindo's philosophy of integral yoga is the dynamic manifestation of the absolute and the intermediary. The absolute being this thing, intermediary being us, between spirit and the manifest world, which enables the transformation of common being into divine being. He said, I didn't do anything. I only awakened my consciousness and linked it to the superior consciousness with an overall higher purpose. The higher purpose linking to the higher consciousness, it used me as an instrument. It used me to make all this happen. I have no credit for all this happen. It is done by divine will. When he said that, I was reminded of what happened in Gita again. This is Vishwarupa Darshanam, chapter 11, given to Arjuna. When Arjuna, since he was thinking he cannot kill people, in Vishwarupa Darshanam, in this shloka it says that I have myself killed them, because the Vishwarupam is it is spread across beyond time-space continuum. So it showed future, it showed thing, etc. So all these people would be dead anyhow, and you are not this thing. And then the Lord tells him, you are only an instrument. Nimitta matram bhava, which means be only an instrument, Arjuna. And Dr. V told me the same thing in the supermind thing. Am I contriving all this? Let's hear Dr. V himself.
I used to sit with the ordinary village man because I am from a village. And suddenly he turned around and then you seem to contact his inner being. You seem to be one with him. But here is a soul which has got all the simplicity of confidence. Doctor, whatever you say, I accept. Faith in me. I must do my best for faith in you. And then you respond. When we grow in spiritual consciousness, we identify ourselves with all that is in the world. So there is no exploitation. It is ourselves we are helping. It is ourselves we are healing.
Yes, another quotation is, intelligence and capabilities are not enough. There must be joy of doing something beautiful. This is Yogaha Karmasa Kaushalam. Let's see what the Holy Mother of Pondicherry has said. She has said, life must blossom like a flower, offering itself to the divine. She has said life, not just work. Everything you do, every relationship you have should be done as if you are offering to the divine. This is called Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. So if you are doing anything as an offering to the Lord, you will give the best of things to the Lord. In your life, you will have best of things, Lord. When Dr. V said there must be a joy of doing something beautiful, this is what he meant. Today is Dr. V's birthday. This morning, a few of us went to Nityata to meditate through the divine to give us that type of wisdom and attitude, to reflect on ourselves, where is it we can improve, and to pay our homage to Dr. V. When we came out and I looked at around, I remembered the RO farm, RO lab area, which now is very different, as a barren land with thorn bushes and all that. And Dr. V planted one sapling, which has become a big tree. I went and sat under the tree and reflected. I saw reflected that the tree has trunk, roots, branches, small branches, twigs, leaves, buds, flowers, fruits. But all of them carry the same gene, the same DNA as the trunk or the root. Every part of the tree carries the same DNA. Even when they drop off the tree, the same DNA would be there. Also, I saw there were dragonflies, butterflies, bees, and birds, including a peahen, sitting on the tree for some time, doing whatever they were doing and going away. So on the reflection, I felt we are all in Aravind. We have a choice. We can be like the branches, the twigs, the leaves, the buds, the flower, the fruits, gaining the DNA of what Aravind is and what Dr. V was and what he has instilled in Aravind. Or we can be like the birds, bees, and the butterflies, spending some time in Aravind, going away. My prayers to the Almighty to help us make the right choice. Thank you very much for your patient listening.
Thank you, sir, for your inspirational oration. It reinforced the values of the organization and motivated us to continue the mission of Dr. V. I kindly request you to join the dignitaries in the audience.
பன்மணித் திரள்களில் நன்மணிகளை கோர்த்து இழைத்ததைப் போல நினைவுகளில் நீங்காது நிரந்தர இடம் பிடிக்கும் சொற்பொழிவினை ஆற்றி அமரவிருக்கும் மாண்புமிகு துரைசாமி நாகராஜன் அவர்களுக்கு மீண்டும் ஒரு முறை எங்களது நன்றியும் அன்பும். என்றென்றும் நாங்கள் மருத்துவர் ஜி வெங்கடசாமி அவர்களின் உயர்ந்த நோக்கத்திலிருந்து நெறி வலுவாது தொடர்ந்து பயணிக்க உங்களது இன்றைய உரை ஒரு உந்துதலாக இருந்தது என்பதில் எல்லளவும் ஐயமில்லை. நாம் அனைவரும் மீண்டும் ஒரு முறை கரவொலி எழுப்பி நமது அன்பினை அவருக்கு வெளிப்படுத்துவோம்.
Let us now enjoy Orthuli Velachum, a skit enacted by the staff of Aravind. The script and the song are written by Professor Prabhakar Vedamanikam of the American College.
அரவிந்தின் ஆத்ம நண்பரும் மதுரை அமெரிக்கன் கல்லூரியின் தமிழ்துறை பேராசிரியருமான முனைவர் பிரபாகர் வேதமாணிக்கம் அவர்களின் உருவாக்கத்தில் நமது அரவிந்த் பணியாளர்கள் பங்கேற்கும் ஒரு துளி வெளிச்சம் என்னும் குறுநாடகத்தினை இப்போது கண்டுகளிக்கலாம்.
அப்பா அப்பா
என்ன
அப்பா ஒரு சின்ன ஹெல்ப்பா.
கொஞ்சம் பொறு, பேப்பர் படிச்சுட்டு வரேன்.
ஏங்க அவ ஏதோ கேட்குறாள்ல, சொல்லிட்டு தான் பேப்பரை படிங்களேன்.
சரி சொல்லு, என்ன வேணும்?
அப்பா, சமூகத்தை மாற்றிய சாதனையாளர்கள் அப்படின்ற தலைப்பில் ஒரு கட்டுரை எழுதணும், எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் உதவி செய்யுங்களேன்.
நீ எழுத வேண்டியதுக்கு நான் எப்படி உதவி செய்ய முடியும்? உன் கட்டுரையை நீ தான் எழுதணும்.
அப்பா, நான் தான் எழுத போகிறேன். எதை பற்றி யாரை பற்றின்னு நீங்கள் சொல்லிட்டா நான் தேடி எழுதிக்குவேன்.
ஓ அப்படியா? அப்போ சரி.
சொல்லுங்கப்பா.
அமெரிக்காவில் ஆப்ரஹாம் லிங்கன்னு ஒருத்தர்.
அப்பா இதெல்லாம் எல்லாருக்கும் தெரிஞ்ச பழைய கதைப்பா.
சரி சரி. அப்போது சவுத் ஆப்பிரிக்காவில் நெல்சன் மண்டேலா கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கியா?
ஏன்பா நம்ம நாட்டில் யாரும் இல்லையா?
ஏன் இல்லை? கல்கத்தாவில்
உங்கள் அப்பாவுக்கு ஊர் உலகத்தில் இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் தெரியும், ஆனால் உள்ளூரில் என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு தெரியாது.
ஆமாம், இவளுக்கு ரொம்ப தெரியும்.
ரொம்ப தெரியாட்டினாலும் எங்களுக்கும் கொஞ்சம் தெரியும். பாப்பா, நம்ம ஊரில் மதுரையில் டாக்டர் வின்னு ஒருத்தர் இருந்தார்.
டாக்டர் வியா?
ஆமாம், டாக்டர் வெங்கடசாமி அவரோட முழு பேர். நம்ம வீட்டிலேருந்து 10 கிலோமீட்டர் தூரத்தில் வசிச்சிருக்காரு. நம்ப முடியாத சாதனைகள் பல செஞ்சுருக்காரு.
பரவாயில்லையே, உங்கள் அம்மாவுக்கு விஷயங்கள்லாம் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கே.
காலையில் 2 மணி நேரம் இங்கிலீஷ் பேப்பர் படித்தா மட்டும் போதாது, நமக்கு பக்கத்தில் யார் இருக்கா என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு கொஞ்சம் தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்.
அப்பா நீங்கள் போய் பேப்பர் படிக்கலாம். அம்மா நீ சொல்லுமா. அப்பா நீங்கள் அமெரிக்காவில் என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு போய் படிங்க.
இவர் தான் டாக்டர் வெங்கடசாமி. இவர் நம்ம ராஜாஜி மருத்துவமனையில் வேலை பார்த்தார். அப்போ அவர் மற்ற மருத்துவர்கள் மாதிரி வர்ற நோயாளிகளுக்கு மருத்துவம் பார்க்கறதோட நிற்காம மற்ற விஷயங்களையும் கவனிப்பார். அப்படி கவனிச்ச போது அவருக்கு சில விஷயங்கள் புரிஞ்சது. அது என்னன்னா, நம்ம ஊர்ல நிறைய பேருக்கு வேலை செஞ்சு சம்பாதிக்கிற வயசுலேயே பார்வை குளாறுகள் அதிகமாக இருக்கிறதையும் பலர் பார்வை இழப்புக்கு உள்ளாவதையும் கவனிச்சாரு. அதுக்கு காரணம் கண் புரைங்கின்ற ஒரு நோய். அதை ஒரு சிறிய அறுவை சிகிச்சை மூலம் அகற்றி சரி செய்ய முடியும் என்ற தீர்வையும் அவரால் யூகிக்க முடிஞ்சது. ஆனா நாடு முழுவதும் பல்லாயிரக்கணக்கான பாமர மக்களுக்கு அந்த சிகிச்சை தேவைப்பட்டது. ஆனா அத்தனை பேருக்கான மருத்துவ வசதிகள் அப்போது நம்ம ஊர்ல இல்ல.
அப்புறமா
மற்றவங்களா இருந்தா நான் என்னால முடிஞ்சதை கவனிச்சு சொன்னேன், அதுக்கு மேல நான் என்ன செய்ய முடியும், இது பெரிய வேலை, அரசாங்கம் தான் இதை செய்ய முடியும்னு சொல்லி ஒதுங்கி இருப்பாங்க. ஆனா டாக்டர் வி அப்படி சமாதானப்பட்டு கொள்ளல. சொந்த செலவுல ஒரு சிறிய மருத்துவமனைய 11 படுக்கைகளோட ஆரம்பிச்சார். போர்களால இந்த உலகம் மாற்றங்களை சந்திச்சிருக்கு. புரட்சிகளால் தான் உலகத்தை மாற்ற முடியும்னு இன்னும் சில பேர் நம்பிக்கிட்டு தான் இருக்காங்க. ஆனா சேவைகளால மாற்றங்களை கொண்டு வர முடியும் என்று நம்பக்கூடியவர்களும் சில பேர் இருக்காங்க. அவர்கள டாக்டர் வியும் ஒருவர். ஆமா, 1976 தொடங்கி இன்னைக்கு வரைக்கும் 90 லட்சம் மனிதர்களின் கண்கள் ஒளியை காண காரணமா இருந்திருக்காரு. ஒவ்வொரு 2 கண்களுக்கு பின்னாலும் ஒரு குடும்பமும் அவர்களின் சுகம், துக்கம், எதிர்காலம் எல்லாமும் அடங்கி இருக்குது. எந்த ஆரவாரமும் இல்லாம அவர் தொடங்கிய அந்த சேவை பயணம் இன்னும் தொடர்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது. எளிமை, சேவை, அயராத உழைப்பு, இதுதான் டாக்டர் வி.
ஒரு துளி வெளிச்சம் பெரும் வெடிப்பாகும், ஒரு துளி கனவு உலகினை மாற்றும், ஒரு விழி திறந்தால் பல இதயங்கள் பூக்கும், இதயங்கள் பூத்தால் உலகமே சிரிக்கும். ஒரு கனவை நெய்தவரே, பெரும் கனலாய் நின்றவரே, வரும் காலம் கடந்தவரே, பெரும் வரமாய் வந்தவரே, ஒரு கனவை நெய்தவரே, பெரும் கனலாய் நின்றவரே, வரும் காலம் கடந்தவரே, பெரும் வரமாய் வந்தவரே.
Thank you, team, for a wonderful performance, and we express our deep gratitude to Professor Prabhakar Vedamanikam for helping us with the script at a short notice and for being with us throughout in the preparation stage.
மிக குறுகிய காலத்தில் நடிப்பிலும் காட்சி வழியாகவும் சிறப்பானதும் பொருத்தமானதுமான மேடை நாடகத்தினை பரிசளித்த பேராசிரியர் பிரபாகர் அவர்களுக்கும் அதனை ஒருங்கிணைத்த சையத் அலி மற்றும் குழுவினர்களுக்கும் நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றி.
I invite Mr. Ganesh Babu, Senior Faculty, LICO, to propose the vote of thanks.
நன்றி நவில லைகோவின் முதுநிலை ஆசிரியர் திருமிகு கணேஷ் பாபு அவர்களை அன்போடு அழைக்கிறோம்.
A warm good evening to all. I have great pleasure to be here to propose the vote of thanks. First of all, let me thank the chief guest of the day and the star of the ceremony, Sri Venkataswamy Nagarajan, for accepting our request to be the recipient of the award. A father figure to most of us at Aravind, his constant mentoring and rich and timely inputs have significantly impacted the way we carry out our professional as well as personal lives. Thank you for giving us a wonderful oration and igniting our minds. Thank you, sir, for always being with us. And my sincere gratitude to Mrs. Sundari Nagarajan for remaining a strong pillar of support to Mr. Nagarajan, sir. My special thanks to the Chief Medical Officer and the staff from other centers who have come all the way to Madurai to attend this ceremony in person. I thank each one of you here for attending and gracing this ceremony. I thank the SLT members, organizing committee of the ceremony, LICO staff, audio visual, IT, DTP, housekeeping and catering department team for taking all the efforts to ensure the smooth conduct of the ceremony as well as to give us all a memorable experience. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I request everyone to stand up for the national anthem.
நயமாய் நன்றி உரைத்திட்ட திருமிகு கணேஷ் பாபு அவர்களுக்கு நன்றி. நாட்டுப்பண்ணோடு விழா இனிதே நிறைவேறுகிறது. அனைவரும் எழுந்து நிற்க பணிக்கிறோம்.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष माहे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
I thank everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you.
விழா இனிதே நிறைவுற்றது. அனைவரும் அமைதியாக கலைந்து செல்லலாம்.